your English podcast.
Hello, dear listeners. A warm welcome back to the channel.
It is so good to be back.
You are listening to your English podcast, and it is just fantastic to have you with us today.
It really is.
My name is Alex.
And my name is Mina.
And today
Oh boy.
we are diving into something that I think terrifies a lot of people. It definitely used to terrify me. We're talking about that awkward, sometimes painful, but, absolutely necessary skill.
Small talk.
Small talk.
Exactly. But we're not just talking about, complaining about the weather or how bad the traffic was.
Right. The usual stuff.
We're going to look at a very specific, almost tactical approach to it. We're calling this deep dive Mastering Active Small Talk, an introvert's secret weapon.
I love that title. I really do, especially the secret weapon part.
Right.
Because let's be honest, for a lot of our listeners, and certainly for me in the past, small talk just feels superficial.
Yeah. Flimsy.
Flimsy. That's the word. It feels like this barrier you have to break through to get to the real conversation. Or worse, it just feels like filler.
Just noise.
Just noise, exactly.
And that is the most common misconception. It really is. People think small talk is filler. They think it's the packing peanuts of conversation, just that styrofoam fluff that you have to throw away to get to the good stuff inside.
That's a great analogy.
But the truth is, small talk is the foundation. It's the gateway. You simply cannot have a deep, meaningful relationship
With anyone.
with anyone, a colleague, a romantic partner, a new friend. You can't build that without crossing that little bridge of small talk first.
It's the gatekeeper.
Precisely. And for introverts, or, for anyone who feels a bit socially anxious, that gate can feel very, very heavy.
Impossible to open sometimes.
It can feel that way. So, our mission today is to give you a key to unlock that gate. We're going to talk about a specific technique called active observation.
Active observation. Okay, that sounds almost scientific.
It is a little bit psychological, actually. It's about how the brain works.
Well, this is going to be good.
We're going to break down what it is. We'll give you specific phrases you can literally use tomorrow. And we'll look at how to apply this in those really high-stakes situations.
Like job interviews or first dates. The scary stuff.
They're really scary stuff.
And we will share some personal stories too, right? Of when this worked for us and maybe how we learned to make it work when it didn't at first.
Absolutely, because it's a skill, not a magic trick. It takes a little practice.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Section 1, deconstructing active observation. So when you say active observation, what does that actually mean? Because, I observe things all the time. I see people, I see cars, I see the wall.
Right.
What makes it active?
That is such a great question, because you're right. Most of us look, but we don't see. Or maybe we see, but we don't process it with the intent to connect. We process things for survival or, navigation.
Like, don't bump into that person?
What exactly? Don't bump into that person. Where is the exit? Is that line for the coffee too long?
It's functional scanning. That's what I'd call it.
That's a perfect term for it. Functional scanning. Active observation is the deliberate act of noticing details about the people and the environment around you.
Deliberate. Okay.
Deliberate. Their outfit, their accessories, their mannerisms, even the book they're holding. And using those specific details to fuel the conversation.
So you're looking for fuel.
You're looking for fuel. You're looking not just to navigate the room, but to connect with the people in the room.
It's like looking with a mission.
Yes.
Right.
It is looking with the intent to find a hook, a starting point. It's not just staring at someone blankly, which can be a bit creepy.
Yeah, definitely don't want to be creepy.
It's scanning for something that tells a little story.
I think the reason this is so powerful, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is that it shifts the focus. It completely changes where your brain is.
Tell me more.
Well, when I'm nervous at a party, I'm usually thinking about myself. 100%. Do I look stupid? Is my drink empty? What do I say next? Are they looking at me? I'm just stuck in my own head.
That is the #1 enemy of good conversation. It truly is self-consciousness.
Right.
It's what psychologists call the spotlight effect.
The spotlight effect.
We walk into a room and we genuinely feel like there is a giant theatrical spotlight just on us, revealing every single flaw, every awkward movement.
Oh, I know that feeling so well. That is the perfect description for it. The spotlight effect.
But the truth is, nobody's really paying that much attention. They're all worried about their own spotlight.
Everyone has their own spotlight.
Everyone does. And when you're worried about yourself, you can't be present. You're not in the room. You're in your head.
Right.
Active observation forces you, gently, to get out of your own head and to focus entirely on the other person.
It's an external focus.
Exactly. You become a detective of sorts. You stop worrying about your own performance and you start getting curious about their presentation.
And that psychological shift, that would be a huge, huge relief for introverts.
It is. It's a total game changer. Because suddenly the pressure isn't on you to be interesting.
Oh, wow.
The pressure is on you to be interested.
That's a huge difference.
A massive difference. When you spot a detail and you ask about it, you make the other person feel noticed. You make them feel important. You make them feel seen.
Yeah, you.
And when someone feels noticed, what happens, their defenses just drop. They warm up immediately. The whole interaction softens.
It's validating. I mean, someone is seeing you.
It's completely validating. Think about it. We spend so much time, even if subconsciously, curating how we look.
Sure.
We pick out a specific tie, or we choose a specific book to read on the train, or we order that complicated coffee with the oat milk and the extra shot. These are all choices.
They are. They're little signals we send out.
They're signals. And when you notice one of those choices, you are validating that person's personality. You're validating their signal.
That's a really cool way to look at it. You're not just commenting on an object like a scarf. You're acknowledging a choice they made. You're saying, I see the effort you put in to presenting yourself to the world today, even if it was a small effort.
Perfectly put. A choice of drink, a specific scarf, a vintage watch. These things can reveal mood, personality, interests, history.
They're clues.
They are absolutely clues. And if you can tap into that, you skip the whole nice weather today phase.
All right.
And you go straight to, that is a fascinating object. Tell me more about it.
Okay, I am completely sold on the concept. I love this idea of being a detective rather than a performer.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get into the nuts and bolts, the mechanics. Because I think this is where a lot of people get stuck. They see the cool watch, but then they freeze.
The brain just stops.
Yeah. They don't know how to bridge that gap between seeing and speaking.
Right. The thought process is, okay, I see the watch. Now what? Do I just point at it and grunt?
Exactly. So section 2, the mechanics of the compliment. Is there a formula we can use to make it easier?
There is a very, very simple formula. And once you learn it, you'll see it everywhere. It's observation plus compliment plus question. Or, if you like acronyms, the OCQ method.
Observation, compliment, question. OCQ. I like that.
Let's start with the basics, focusing on wardrobe, because that's usually the easiest, most accessible thing to spot.
Right. Everyone's wearing something.
So let's drill some core examples. Let's say you're at a gathering and you see someone wearing a really nice leather jacket.
Okay. I see the jacket. Step one, observation is complete. My detective work is done.
A simple, direct version would be, I really like your jacket.
I really like your jacket. Okay. That's the observation and the compliment right there.
Simple, right. But it's effective. It's appreciative. However, and this is a big however, if you stop there, what happens?
They say thanks and walk away.
They say thanks, and the conversation is over before it began. That's why we absolutely need the question. The cue is the most important part.
It's the engine.
It is the engine. So you need to add something like,
Is it vintage? Or where did you get it?
exactly. I really like your jacket. It has such a classic look. Is it vintage? Now you have opened a door for them to walk through.
And they can tell a story or just say where they got it. But it's more than a one-word answer.
Right. Let's try another one. Something specific, like an accessory.
Right.
Let's say a watch. That's a cool watch.
That's a cool watch. Perfect. You're identifying the object and giving it a positive attribute. Nice and simple.
But here is the secret sauce. The thing that makes it all work. It's not just the words.
It's how you say it.
It is 100% the delivery. Your intonation.
Oh, this is so important.
It's everything. If you say it like a robot, jacket. It sounds creaky.
Totally.
It sounds like you were analyzing them for a science experiment or something.
Or like you're being sarcastic. I like your jacket, which is just mean.
Exactly. Intonation completely changes the meaning. You have to sound enthusiastic and, most importantly, sincere. The stress needs to fall on the key words.
So what would be the key words there? The verb like, and the object jacket, or maybe the adjective.
Usually the adjective or the object, the descriptive parts. So I really like your jacket, or that is a cool watch. You want your pitch to go up slightly at the end of the phrase. It signals friendliness and curiosity.
It's the difference between a statement and an invitation.
That's it. Let's role play this for a second so our listeners can really hear the difference. I'll be the person at the party. You notice something about me, let's say. My shoes.
Okay, clears throat. Hey, I noticed your shoes. They're really stylish. Where did you find them?
Oh, thanks. I actually got them online, took a chance. See? My immediate reaction is to be pleased and to share the story.
Yeah, you didn't just say thanks.
Not at all. And did you notice your pitch? It went up slightly. It sounded curious and warm.
They are really stylish.
It felt warm. It didn't feel like I was judging your shoes. It felt like I was celebrating them.
That's the key, that feeling of celebration. Now you try. I'm wearing, let's say, a very bright, colorful scarf. Okay, wow. I love that scarf. The colors are so vibrant, it really brightens up the room.
Thank you so much. It's actually my favorite.
See, it just flows.
Yeah.
It feels so easy when you do it that way.
It does. And for you listening right now, I really want you to pay attention to that stress. I love that scarf. The colors are so vibrant. That energy is what bridges the gap between strangers. It turns a flat statement into a real connection.
So we have the formula, observation plus compliment plus question.
Yeah.
And we have the delivery, warm, sincere intonation.
The OCQ method.
Now let's take this out into the wild. because a party is one thing, but life happens in, a million other places.
Section 3. Real-world scenarios.
Yes.
And remember, the fundamental human need for recognition is universal. It doesn't matter if you are at a fancy gala or just waiting in line at the grocery store. People love to be noticed for the choices they make.
Okay, let's look at scenario A. The party or social gathering. This is the classic introvert nightmare. You're standing there with a drink, you don't know anyone, but then you see someone maybe sitting in the corner reading a book.
This is a gift from the universe for an introvert.
A gift? Why?
Because if someone is reading a book at a party, they are probably an introvert too. You already have something in common. They are using that book as a shield, as a safe space.
That's so true. I've been that person with the book shield.
We all have. So the question is, how do we gently approach that shield without being annoying or intrusive? What's the phrase?
Right.
You approach gently, give them space, and say, I noticed you're reading a fascinating looking book. What is it about?
What is it about? Not what are you reading?
Well, you could ask that, but what is it about is the magic key.
Why is that so much better than asking, say, is it good?
Think about the grammar of the question. Is it good is a closed question, a yes-no question. If they say yes, the conversation might just end there.
The dreaded yes-no trap.
Exactly. If they say no, it also ends. But if you ask, what is it about, you are inviting a synopsis. You're inviting them to tell a story.
Ah, so they have to explain the plot or the main idea of the nonfiction book.
Exactly. And while they are explaining, what are you doing? You're just listening, nodding, and looking for the next hook in their explanation.
It takes all the pressure off you to come up with the next topic immediately. They're doing all the talking.
Precisely. You are giving them the floor to talk about something they're clearly interested in. And people who love books generally love talking about the book they are currently reading.
I love that. Okay. Scenario B. The cafe or restaurant. This happens to me a lot. I'm waiting for my coffee or I'm sitting at a table and I see someone get their order delivered. And it just looks incredible.
Food is the great equalizer. It really is. We all eat. We all have opinions on food. It's a very safe, very sensory topic to connect over.
So what's the phrase? What do I say?
You lean over slightly, being mindful of their personal space, of course, and say, with a smile, excuse me, that plate of food looks amazing. Do you recommend it?
Do you recommend it?
I like that.
Again, you're asking for their opinion. You're elevating them to the status of an expert. People love to be the expert, even if it's just about a plate of pasta.
It's like you're asking for their advice. It's a subtle form of flattery.
It is, and it establishes common ground instantly. You are both in this cafe, you are both hungry, you both appreciate good food. Suddenly you aren't strangers, you are fellow diners on a culinary adventure.
And that can so easily segue into, oh, I come here all the time, or this is my first time here. What else is good?
Exactly. The door is wide open now.
Okay, scenario C. I like this one. You called it the drive-by. On the street or, passing by someone in a hallway at work.
Yes, the drive-by compliment. This is for when you don't necessarily want a 20-minute conversation. You just want to practice your skills or maybe just brighten someone's day.
So this is very low commitment. The lowest commitment. The phrase is incredibly simple. Your shoes are really stylish. Or great hat. Or I love the color of your coat.
Just quick.
Quick, sincere, and then you keep moving. You don't linger.
Why is this an important exercise?
Because it builds your confidence. It gets you used to the act of speaking to strangers without the fear of getting stuck in a long, awkward chat.
It's like a conversational warm-up.
It is. And for the other person, it's just a random act of kindness. It creates a little micro positive interaction in their day. Everybody wins.
I really like that. The drive-by compliment. It's low risk, high reward.
But we have to talk about the tone check.
Ah, yeah.
This is crucial. It's so important, especially for men approaching women, but really for anyone in any situation.
The pressure factor, as you called it.
Yes. You must use a tone that implies curiosity, not demand, and certainly not, well, creepiness.
Right. It's the difference between I like your necklace and I like your necklace.
Oh, that's a perfect example. One is an appreciation, the other feels like an evaluation. And nobody wants to be evaluated by a stranger.
So how do you make sure your tone is right?
Sincerity is the filter. It always comes back to sincerity. If you genuinely like the shoes, say it. If you're just saying it to get their attention or because you feel like you should, it often comes across as fake.
People have a really good radar for that, don't they?
We have an amazing radar for fake compliments. We can smell inauthenticity a mile away. So the rule is, if you don't actually like the shoes, don't mention the shoes. Find something else that you genuinely do appreciate.
Authenticity is non-negotiable.
It absolutely is.
I want to pause here for just a second because we've covered some really, really actionable tips already.
We have the OCQ method is a big one.
It is. And I just want to say to everyone listening, if you are finding these tips on active observation helpful, please subscribe to our channel. It really, really helps us bring you more deep dives just like this one.
Yeah, we want to build a whole community of confident communicators here.
Absolutely. Okay, so back to the conversation, section 4. We've talked a lot about what to say, but now we have to talk about the thing that stops people from even trying in the first place. The big fear.
The silence.
The silence. The pause. The gap. The void.
It can feel like a void, can it?
It's terrifying. You say, I like your watch. They say, thanks. And then nothing. Just crickets.
And in that silence, the introvert's brain just goes into panic mode. The alarm bells start ringing. Say something, say anything, fill the void.
And it feels like a failure. It feels like the car has stalled on the highway and everyone is staring at you.
But it isn't a failure. It isn't a stall. We need to reframe this. Pauses are natural.
They don't feel natural.
I know, but they are. Think about a fire in a fireplace. You put a log on, it burns brightly, and then before you put the next log on, there's a moment where the flames just settle.
Okay.
Conversation is the same. You do not need to fill every single second with noise. It's okay for the fire to just glow for a moment.
Reframing pauses, that's a really big mental shift to make.
It is, because if you rush to fill the silence, you often just say something silly or anxious that you regret later.
Guilty. I have definitely babbled absolute nonsense just to stop the quiet.
We all have. But here is the technique from the world of active observation. Use the silence. Use that pause to actively observe again.
So instead of panicking in my head, I should be looking with my eyes.
Yes. While they are saying thanks, or during that 1 or 2 second lull, look at them again. Did you miss something before? Is there a pin on their lapel? What kind of drink are they holding? Are they looking around the room at something interesting?
So the silence is actually my time to reload my observation gun.
Exactly. It's your reload time. It's not a failure, it's a feature. You aren't performing, you are observing. Oh, I just noticed the pin on your jacket. Is that from a conference?
Boom, new topic.
A brand new topic. And because it came from observation, it feels natural. It doesn't feel forced or like you just picked a random subject out of thin air.
That is incredibly liberating. It turns the silence from a vacuum, which is scary, into a research phase.
A research phase. I love that. It converts that nervous anxiety into active curiosity.
Okay, so we've handled the casual stuff, the parties, the cafes, but what about when it really, really counts?
High stakes situations.
Section 5.
Uh,
High-stakes situations. Work and romance.
yeah, the stakes are higher here because the outcome matters more. You want the job, or you want the client, or you want that second date.
But does the same technique apply? Isn't saying, I like your shoes a little too casual for, say, a boardroom?
It can be, but the mechanism active observation is exactly the same. It's infinitely versatile. It's just that what you observe changes.
Okay, so let's talk about scenario D. The office or a business meeting. You walk into a potential client's office for the first time. You want to establish a human connection before you open the spreadsheet, but you have to stay professional.
Right. You don't want to be a robot, but you also probably don't want to comment on their physical appearance in a professional setting. That can be risky.
Yeah, saying, I like your dress to a potential boss might be fine, but it can also be misinterpreted or seen as unprofessional, depending on the dynamic.
Exactly. So you shift the observation from their personal style to their professional competence or their environment.
Give me an example of that.
Okay, let's say their office is incredibly neat and organized. Everything is labeled. The books are perfectly aligned.
A very tidy person.
You could say, I'm really impressed by the way you've organized your workspace. It really shows your dedication and attention to detail.
Oh, that is good. That is really good. It's a compliment on their work ethic, disguised as an observation about their desk.
Yes. Or you notice a framed diploma on the wall. I noticed you have a diploma from university name on the wall. My cousin went there. She absolutely loved their engineering program.
You're building professional respect. You aren't just saying nice office. You're saying, I see your achievements. I see the work you've put in.
And that builds trust. It shows you are paying attention to who they are as professional, not just as a potential sale.
Okay, let's flip to the other side of the coin. The even higher stakes situation for some people. Scenario E, the date.
Ah, yes. Romance.
The goal here is completely different. It's intimacy, it's connection, it's storytelling.
You want to get to know their soul, not just their resume.
Exactly.
So we can go back to observing accessories, but we do it with a deeper twist.
The deeper twist.
You see a necklace, maybe it looks vintage or handmade, or just a little unusual.
Right.
Instead of just saying, that's a nice necklace, you say, your necklace is very unique. It feels like it must have a wonderful story behind it.
You must have a wonderful story behind it.
I love this phrase. It's one of my favorites.
Why that specific phrasing?
Because you aren't just asking, where did you get it? Which could lead to a boring answer like the mall.
Right.
You are assuming there is a story. You are assuming it has meaning. You are inviting them to share a piece of their life with you.
And if there's a story, oh, it was my grandmother's, then boom, you are immediately in a deep, meaningful conversation.
You're talking about family, history, sentimental value. That is where intimacy and connection actually happen.
And even if there isn't a deep story like, oh, I just bought it at a flea market last week, you can still pivot easily.
Of course. You can say, well, you have a fantastic eye for finding unique things. It's a win-win. But phrasing it as it must have a story is an explicit invitation for them to share something personal.
That is so powerful. It moves the conversation from nice object to personal history in a single sentence.
And that's what we want on a date, right? We want to know who this person really is.
That's a great point, and I want to take a moment here to ask the listeners a question directly.
Okay. What about you listening right now? Do you find it harder to start conversations at work or in social settings like a date? Which one makes you more nervous?
Yeah, we'd love to know. And if you enjoy these deep dives into communication, please consider subscribing so you don't miss our next episodes.
We really want to tailor our content to what helps you the most. Your feedback is so important.
It really is. Okay, moving on. Section 6. We have the theory. We have the phrases for different situations.
We have the OCQ method.
But like any skill, like learning a language or playing the guitar, you can't just know the theory. You have to practice. So how do we develop the habit of active observation?
You have to train your eye. It's a muscle just like any other. And it gets stronger with exercise.
So what's the workout routine for our observation muscles?
I call it the cue exercise.
The cue exercise, as in QUEE, waiting in line.
Exactly. Next time you are waiting in line at the grocery store, the bank, the post office, anywhere, look around you. Pick one person.
Okay, I've got my target.
And just find one detail about them that you could theoretically mention.
So I don't actually have to say it.
No, that's
Wow.
the beauty of it. This is a zero pressure exercise. You don't have to say a single word. Just train your brain to spot the details. Cool sneakers. Interesting tattoo. That's a funny t-shirt.
You're just identifying the hook over and over.
Yes. You're building the mental pathway because eventually, when you do need to speak, your brain will already be in scan mode. It will start happening automatically.
That's a great low-pressure way to start. I love that. What else is in the workout plan?
The notebook method.
This appeals to the studious side of me.
I knew it would.
I do love my notes.
This is very simple. Write these observations down. Keep a little log in your phone's notes app or a physical notebook. Saw a man with a bright red fedora. Thought. That is a bold fashion choice. I could ask if he's a musician.
But why write it down? How does that help?
Writing it down bridges the gap between thinking it and speaking it. It solidifies the language in your brain. When you write the full phrase, I couldn't help but notice your interesting hat, you are practicing the sentence structure. You're making it your own.
It makes the vocabulary more accessible when you need it in a live situation.
Yeah.
The words don't feel so foreign.
Exactly. And that leads to the final exercise, the solo practice.
Talking to yourself in the mirror.
Talking to yourself anywhere.
I do that anyway, so this is perfect for me.
Practice saying the compliments out loud when you are alone. In the shower, in the car, on the way to work. Get comfortable with how the words feel in your mouth.
That's actually a really important point. Sometimes a word like fascinating or unique can feel clunky if you haven't said it recently. You don't want to stumble over it in the actual moment.
Right. You want muscle memory for your mouth just like you want it for your brain. You want, that looks amazing, where did you get it, to roll off your tongue as easily as, hello.
Okay, section 7. We promise personal stories. We promise to show that this actually works in the real world, that it's not just a nice theory.
Mm-hmm.
You have a story about a corporate event, right? The ultimate small talk challenge.
I do. And let me tell you, I usually dread corporate mixers. I find them so draining.
The name tags, the slightly warm white wine.
The awkward standing in circles where nobody knows what to say next.
Yes. So I was at this event a few years ago. I didn't know a soul. I was doing the classic introvert thing, standing near the buffet table, pretending to be very interested in the cheese selection.
The cheese is always a safe bet.
It is. And I saw a colleague, well, someone from a different department standing nearby, and he was wearing a watch. But not just a normal watch. It was this chunky, transparent digital thing. It looked like something from a 1980s sci-fi movie.
Oh, that sounds cool.
It was very distinct. And normally my brain would just file that away as weird watch, and I'd look away. But I decided to try active observation.
You deployed the technique.
I did. So I walked over and said, "Excuse me, that watch is really eye-catching. Is it a vintage piece?"
Simple. The OCQ method.
The classic OCQ. And his face just lit up. He got this huge smile. It turns out he collects vintage calculator watches from the 70s and 80s.
No way. That's such a specific hobby. It is. And he started telling me all about the history of digital watches and how he finds them on eBay and fixes them himself. It was absolutely fascinating. We talked for a solid 20 minutes about design, technology, and gadgets.
And you completely bypass the boring stuff.
Completely. We didn't talk about spreadsheets or quarterly reports or deadlines. We talked about his passion. And the best part was the next time I saw him in the office, we had a real connection. He waved at me from across the room.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
It took a potentially boring, awkward interaction and made it memorable and human.
Absolutely. What about you? You mentioned a meeting story.
Yeah. This was a really high-stress situation. We were meeting with a new vendor for the first time, and things were tense. The deal was on the line. Everyone was sitting around this big boardroom table, all stiff, arms crossed, total silence.
The worst kind of silence, the judgmental kind.
The absolute worst. And I looked across the table, and the lead guy on their side was wearing this incredibly bright floral shirt. It was under a very serious suit jacket, but it was just popping out.
A bold move for a tense business meeting.
Right.
It was this little splash of personality in a sterile room. So before we started the official agenda, I just took a breath and I said, I have to say, I love your shirt. It really brightens up the room.
Was that risky?
It felt a little risky in the moment, but I was sincere. It was a gloomy day outside, and the shirt was genuinely happy. And you know what? He laughed. He actually smiled and leaned back in his chair and said, "Yeah, my wife told me not to wear it, but I figured we all needed some energy today."
Oh, that is brilliant.
And the whole room just relaxed. Everyone chuckled a little bit. The tension just evaporated. We were still professional, of course, but for a second, we were all just humans in a room. And the rest of the meeting went so much smoother after that.
That is the power of it. You saw the human element, the choice of the shirt, and you acknowledged it. You broke the corporate script.
And I think the core lesson here for both of our stories was authenticity.
100%. You really liked the shirt. I really was curious about the watch. You cannot fake this. No. If I had said, "Nice shirt with a flat, bored voice," he would have thought I was making fun of him or being sarcastic.
Exactly. The sincerity is what makes it work. If you say it, you have to mean it. Even a tiny short comment, if it's sincere, is enough to build a bridge.
So we've covered a lot of ground today. I feel like we've really dissected this. Let's wrap this up with a summary in our outro.
Let's recap. Mastering small talk isn't about memorizing 1,000 topics or being the loudest person in the room.
Not at all.
It's about learning the skill of active observation. It's about training yourself to scan for details, clothes, accessories, behaviors, the environment, and turning those details into sincere comments or questions.
And is the best tool for introverts because it makes interaction feel natural and unforced. It shifts the focus off of you and your anxiety and onto them and their story.
It turns pressure into curiosity.
It really does. So, here is our final challenge to you, our listener.
Yes, you get homework.
Try it today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Make one observation and one compliment. Just one.
It can be to a cashier at the store, a coworker you pass in the hall, or even a family member.
Just one. See how it feels. More importantly, see how they react. Notice that little spark.
And we really want to hear about it. Share your stories in the comments below. How did you start a conversation, and what worked best for you? What did you observe?
We absolutely love reading your success stories. And please, if you found this valuable, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and maybe tell a friend about our podcast.
It helps us grow and reach more learners and communicators just like you.
Thank you so much for listening to your English podcast today.
We'll see you next time, and good luck with your small talk. Bye, everyone.